So two things we're gonna do in this clip here is bridge and single leg bridge. So both of these exercises really work on your glutes, your hamstrings a little bit, and your core. So starting off, we're going to lay on our back. So laying on our back, we're gonna make sure that our feet are flat on the ground, our knees are bent at a 90-degree angle. We're making sure that when we push up, we're not concaving in or coming too far out. So feet are shoulder width apart, knees are bent at 90 degrees. Hip, we're gonna have a little bit of an anterior tilt. So as we tilt our hips, core is going to get engaged, and you're gonna notice there's no way your hand could fit through your lower back. So safety consideration here would be that if your back is too far arched, you're going to hurt your lower back and cause injury. So you don't want to be able to stick your hand through your back, so engage your core. And now can't go through anymore. Pelvic tilt, shoulders are on the ground, head is looking straight throughout the entire movement. Our hands are going to be placed palm down on the mat. This is for balance and stability. So pushing through our heels, we're going to drive up so that our knees, hips, and shoulders are all in a straight line, making sure that we're not pushing our toes up throughout the movement. So feet are flat on the ground, driving through the heels, engaging and squeezing our glutes, and then bringing ourselves back down. So again, you don't want to, when you bring yourselves up, engaging the glutes. We don't want to be hyperextending too far or concaving like this. Nice straight neutral position. Back and everything is in a straight neutral alignment. So as you're doing the movement, you want to come up for about 2 seconds in a slow and controlled movement, engage and squeeze those glutes, holding for about 2 seconds and coming back down for about 2 seconds in another controlled movement. Resting at the bottom, of course, for a few seconds there. You can breathe normally throughout the movement, or you can exhale as you push up and inhale as you come down, and repeat. So it looks like this. After doing the double leg bridge, you're going to move into the single leg bridge. So it's the same sort of mechanics, same starting position, same neutral spine, shoulders, head making contact with the mat, anterior pelvic tilt, so there's no gap, engaging our core. So there's no gap in our lower back. Knees bent at 90 degrees, feet planted on the ground, so our knees aren't falling in or too far out during the movement. So from here, hands are going to be placed by our side, palms down again for balance. Head is looking straight up. Now, single leg bridge, we're going to lift one leg and bend it so it's at 90 degrees, and also flexing our toe towards us throughout the entire movement. From here, when we're pushing up, safety considerations, we want to make sure we're not caving our knee in or too far out with the leg that's being worked. And then the same thing as well, make sure we're driving through our heels, not lifting our toes. Mine do lift up because I don't have as strong hamstrings. And also no breaking at the back. So pushing up, making sure that when we're at the top, our glutes are engaged and our knee, hip, and shoulders are in one straight line. Mine are a little off again, my form is a little off, but ideally you want that straight line. So pushing up, that straight line. You also want to make sure that you're not pushing up, hyperextending, or coming too low and concaving. When you're doing this movement, you want to push up, hold for 2 seconds at the top, come back down for 2 in a controlled movement, and rest at the bottom for 2, pushing up for 2. Breathing as you normally would, or exhaling as you come up, and inhaling as you come down. Again, making sure that your knee is not wavering, this knee that is lifted, or this leg that is lifted. And it looks like this. So the next one we're going to do is the barbell hip thrust. So starting off, we're going to need to get a bench that is about the height of your tibia. So this one's a little bit too high for me, but for the sake of example, we're just going to use this. So with our head looking straight and following our body throughout the entire movement, so We're going to start with our head looking straight, neck and back in a neutral position, so nice and straight. Our shoulders and our upper back are sitting on top of on the bench, so they're resting on the bench for now. Our hips, we have the barbell sitting in the group of our hips. Our core is engaged. Our knees are bent at a 90-degree angle, and our feet are placed flat on the ground, about shoulder width apart. So from here, our hands are going to be grabbing onto the barbell. One safety consideration you want to note right now is you can use a glue pad such as this to place underneath the barbell for comfort, or you can just have it like I do and on your hips. So, grabbing onto the bar, shoulders and scapulas are against the bench, head looking forward. We're going to engage our glutes because this exercise works our posterior chain, our glutes, hamstrings, and lower back and core, like the other exercises I showed before I do. So grabbing the bar, we're going to engage our glutes, drive through our heels, and push straight up into a tabletop position. So our knees, hips, and shoulders and head are in a straight line. We want to make sure we're not coming too far up and hyperextending so that our head comes too far back and then we hurt our neck. That's another consideration we have to think of. And then we also want to make sure that we're not concaving and falling inwards like this. So in a nice tabletop position, our head is looking at the ceiling at the end point. So our eyes are looking at the ceiling at the end point. Head is nice and straight. We're not breaking at the neck. Everything is nice and in a straight line. Holding onto the bar, coming back down, resetting at the bottom. Again, making sure that when we're in that tabletop position, our knees don't concave and fall in or too far out. So, pushing through the heels, driving up through the hips, holding at the top for 2 seconds, feeling that glute getting engaged, squeezing our core, holding at the top, coming back down in a controlled movement, resting at the bottom. So coming up in an explosive movement, breathing out for about a second at the top, holding at the top for 2, coming back down in a controlled movement, making sure our neck isn't falling backwards as we come down, so our eye line is following as we do the movement, resting at the bottom for 2, and it'll look like this. So exhale, hold at the top for 2, inhale, as you come down for 2, rest at the bottom for 2, and your eyes and heads and everything is nice and straight. And it looks like this. We're going to go through the second set of exercises, lateral hops, counter movement, as well as discontinuous, continuous, and double contact. Then we're going to move into non-continuous, lateral hops, and finally counter movement hops, discontinuous. All of those exercises are really working to generate power through our lower body, so through the quads and through the glutes especially. We're also kind of working our core because you always engaging your core no matter what exercise you're doing for stability. So from here, for lateral hops, counter movement, the discontinuous aspect of it, we're going to be starting straight, standing straight, head facing forward. So our shoulders, our back, our hips are squared. Everything is nice and straight, neutral. Arms are just to our side. Knees are nice and straight, not caving in or falling out. Our ankles, we're not breaking at our ankles at all, and feet are flat on the ground. So, lifting one leg. So we're standing on one leg now. We are going to bend so that we're coming down to a squat position. Again, when we bend, we're hip hinging, keeping our back straight, not bent over, concave, or too far up. Head facing forward, so our back is nice and straight. Arms down, our knees aren't caving in or falling too far out, as well our ankles aren't breaking. So, making sure that everything is nice and in line, hips are still squared, coming down into that squat. We're going to drive laterally, hop, control the movement, reset. That's discontinuous. So you can either hop laterally back and forth in bounds like this, pause, reset, pause, reset, or you can just go in a continuous motion. So again, making sure that our knees aren't caving in when we're landing and then we reset from like normal. So it looks something like this. Everything is nice and in line, discontinuous hop, reset. Making sure that we're nice and balanced and our knees aren't caving in on that landing. Breathing in, exhaling, coming back out, resetting. It's not really a tempo to this. As far as the discontinuous is concerned, you just want to make sure that we're resetting once we finish. Coming back down, breathing in, out on the jump, resetting, and there's your tempo. Breathing out on the jump. So moving into the continuous jump is the same sort of mechanics as the discontinuous, where you want to keep everything in line, same starting position and everything, except, I want to use this leg, except when we are jumping continuously, we're going to bring ourselves down and we're not going to have that pause in the middle. But we still want to watch out for the same mechanics in the sense that we don't want our knee caving in, and we also don't want to be breaking at the ankles or at the spine or anything like that. So, breathing and tempo is the same. Exhaling as jump. And then tempo is kind of the same. I did that kind of wrong. I had a little bit of an arm swing. You want to keep minimizing arm swing as much as you can because it is a counter movement jump. But again, keeping the tempo pretty up and down, so pretty consistent. So, keeping your breathing really consistent. Moving into the double contact jump, very similar again to the two previous, except we're having a little hop in between. So instead of that little pause and reset at the bottom, or that little pause before you go into your next jump continuously, it will be a jump, a little like double contact, so a little bit of a little hop into it, and jump into that lateral bounding. So, breathing and tempo is still the same. Tempo's pretty fast depending on how well you can do it. Breathing, make sure you're just exhaling and inhaling normally. You can exhale as you do that jump, or you can inhale as you land, or just continue breathing normally. So something like this. Again, try not to break at the knee or the ankle. So now, moving into the non-counter movement lateral hop. From here, we are going to start with our same kind of mechanics, hips straight, facing forward on one leg. Knee is not caving in, foot is not coming off the ground or not concaving in too far out. Core is nice and engaged. Back is nice and straight, head facing forward. As we come into that squat, now we're going to bend forward coming into that squat. And this time we're going to have a little bit of an arm swing. So we're bounding up and having that little swing. Bounding up and having a little swing. And resetting at this bottom position. Again, when we land, making sure we're not concaving in and out. So swing up and resetting at the bottom. Up, resetting at the bottom. From there, breathing is still the same. Exhaling out. Inhaling as we to the bottom and keep breathing. So inhaling as we get to the reset spot. Pushing out, exhaling, and resetting. So discontinuous would have a pause in the middle, whereas continuous would be a continuous jump. Look something like this, again, continuing with their breathing. So, continuous. And then finally, moving into the counter movement hop, not lateral, just the counter movement hop. Again, same sort of mechanics, single leg, except instead of jumping laterally, we're going to be jumping vertically. And again, counter movement is no arm swing, just keeping your arms in front. So again, on one leg, make sure our knees aren't falling in, feet are nice and flat, not bending as well. Hips are squared, core is engaged, shoulders back, everything is in your spine, head is facing forward. Coming down into that squat, and then jumping up, driving through, breathing out as we jump up. Discontinuous, holding at the bottom, reset. So, again, so resetting, making sure that when we land, we're landing in a controlled movement, so we're not going all over the place like I was a couple times throughout this video. That's just proper balance, you'll get that as you practice more. So coming down into that squat, head facing forward, arms in front, drive up, exhale, inhale, reset, and set up again into the starting position. Oh, see, a little loss of balance there, and come back down, resetting to the starting position, and continue doing this. A few things to note, safety considerations as far as all the jumps are concerned. If you feel any pain in your knees or anywhere else in your body, obviously don't do these jumps. If you happen to fall, make sure that you're bracing yourself accordingly. If you have the option, try and land on your butt instead of your hands. Otherwise, these are pretty, oh, and wear proper shoes, so proper running shoes. Try not to go with like slippers or Crocs into these movements. And that's it. Cool, thank you.